possible?
Well, we might never find out, but we will find out who is going to win this series. The second game is on at the GSL Code A. At the bottom left of Cloud Kingdom, we have the player who's down one map already. It is starting for Team MVP, Killer.
Killer is up against the SKT player to the top right in blue. He's Sue. And so far a very formidable opponent for the MVP Protoss.
Yeah, not only for him, just doing a really... He's putting up a really good show in Code A in general. Winning the Code A qualifier bracket that he was in, and now in Code A, great performance. He is definitely, at this point, on this level, he is a contender to get into Code S, but he has to prove it not only against Killer. If he wins against Killer, he has to prove it against Lucira.
Yeah, and that's going to be the final challenge.
Yeah.
If not, he goes into the up and down matches where, well, let's be honest, that's going to be tough for any Kessel player. Kessel players are usually good at preparing for one match in particular and not playing multiple matches in a day. Unfortunately for Kessel players, that's how the Code A qualifiers go, and that's how the up and down matches go. You play against multiple players at once. It's hard to prepare. You don't know who you're going to face oftentimes.
And so far, not a single Casper player was able to get out of the up and downs.
Yeah.
All the Casper players that were playing in the up and downs, they failed. But they're doing a lot better in this Code A season. I have to say that the guys are finally coming around. We had a few Casper players already in Code S doing really well, but now I feel the rest of them also arrived here.
Yep, we need a pause for Sue. So pause your brains for a moment as the probe scouts sees the hatch is not up yet. And Killer, going into a Nexus first himself, will not be placing the Forge as he's already at 15 supply. Just giving you guys the stats.
Well, right now I am not quite sure what's going on. We have currently with 100... Actually, I'm really happy that it happens early on. There is nothing more annoying for a player and for a commentator when in the middle of the game suddenly you have some kind of problem. I feel for the two of us, the most annoying thing that we had ever to endure was when we had in the GSL finals in Las Vegas, suddenly between Marine King and Parting, this huge problem with the BattleNet, and the game just dropped. And then suddenly you have this weird decision, and you know from the beginning that the admins who have to make a decision right now, is it going to be a regame, is it going to be a win for one of those players, they can't make a right decision.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, it's wrong. So there is always someone who feels left out, who feels like he was cheated out of victory or out of the chance to win this game. So suddenly, in this situation, it's really the worst thing ever. But now we have a very early pause, so whatever it is, Stu was able to catch it early on. We have now the chance for the admin to walk over to see, okay, is that a problem with the computer? Is it a problem with your own hardware? Whatever it is, we can restart the game. Worst case scenario, we will have the player get a penalty point.
Yeah, and from... very soon in the future, in fact, I've been hearing rumors the patch will be coming out tonight or even today in Korea. We will have resume from replay, and from that moment on, there will probably never, ever again, ever be a regame because players can just instantly resume from where we're at.
I hope so. It would be great. I heard the technology is finally there.
Yeah. So we will be able to have players resume from the replays without anything lost. We're never going to have Demaga versus MVP in the World Championship Series. It was a crazy long game with Ultralisk and Battlecruisers on Tal'Darim Malta. I remember that game when it dropped at like 57 minutes in, and I was like, and they actually had to regame. I'm pretty sure everybody remembers that game.
That was a little bit unfortunate.
There's some crazy situations out there.
Things like that will definitely be a matter of the past. And right now, we are, of course, just waiting what exactly is going on there and what Sue's problem is, if he has a hardware problem or what's going on. We also had a problem earlier this morning with our client here, so that was resolved, and now at least we are set up.
Yeah, if we don't get an update on that soon, I'm actually just going to ask in the chat, because that's all I know how to do to figure out what's going on.
I mean, currently we have Killer with a pylon already on the low ground. He's just waiting. He made Sue wait a little bit. Yeah, you can see all those tissues to the left. There was definitely he spilled something. I'm pretty sure about that.
That would you took my detective job on this one.
Sherlock Calder on the case, my friend.
Yeah, you definitely
solved another one. Nice. Keyboard issue.
Yep.
Just confirmed. We are ready. The players are ready. So we are good to go. Let's find out who's going to take the win on Cloud Kingdom. Will Sue be able to advance to the third round, take a 2-0 victory? Or is it going to be Killer who has now very clean hands, a very clean table, the perfect environment to play the perfect game.
Yeah, does he have a clean mind? That's what you find out.
Yep.
Typing in the chat.
Killer definitely has a dirty mind, believe me. That guy, when he talks, I mean, you can tell.
3, 2, 1. We're in the game again now. And it's up. We'll be in it as soon as the button is pressed. I was trying to play baseball. I don't know. Here we go.
I was trying to pitch that one to you.
Wow, Killer did not miss a second on that Nexus. He was pressing the buttons before the game was on pause. That was like, boom, Nexus is down.
Yeah. Nexus is already down. Probably the probe was already queued up to build it.
Yeah. And the pool finishes now. Killer has seen everything. He will try to deny the hatchery as long as possible, but unfortunately, that's one thing he's not able to accomplish.
This time, I highly doubt that we will see Zerglings in the base of the Killer. This is probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Killer will be very, very careful with this wall today.
I'm with you on that. He's going to go cannon before gate just to be safe. This time, he will not have wings in this main. With that cannon timing, it's basically impossible for Lings to get there.
Well, the last game we played cannon before gate 2.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and he leaves it open again. But he has the probe there, he sees the Zerglings, and yeah, it's not going to happen again.
Last time, it was a different map. You know, he didn't expect Su to take a fast third, because if he had gone to Su's third while he was trying to do that, he would have blocked the third, which would force the Lings to be there, and then he would have been in the same situation he is now. So, just Killer playing this a little bit more standard for, well, one of our more standard Wings of Liberty maps, Cloud Kingdom. And he, even if he Mineral walks that probe, will lose it. There's no way he can get away. No way. Dead. Really looking forward to all the new physics in Heart of the Swarm. I've been playing a lot of ladder games, and just watching probes blow up and things like that just looks really cool. Sometimes when Banelings blow up my mineral line or something like this, or a marine drop happens, you see this, the bodies of the probes laying there, and for like a split second it looks so cool, it looks like they just fell apart. You think your probes are still alive, then when it vanishes you're like, oh, I lost like 6 workers just then.
Takes you a little bit longer.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, they're just not moving. They'll be fine. They're sleeping.
Can reanimate them.
Yeah.
We need a new reanimator.
That would be pretty cool.
That is
Save your
actually
probes.
just Blizzard's plan.
I'm sure that's why they made the probe deaths look like that.
Yeah, for Legacy of the Void. We will have the reanimator ability on the Nexus.
Have you seen, by the way, the Zealot animation when the Zealot gets killed, where his body just, like, its soul flies out at an angle? That's always the worst feeling when I'm trying to warp in Zealots, defend an attack, and they just die before they even finish, and they're just flying everywhere.
We have the new, the Stargate opening, this is what we see from Killer, but did you see the new cardboard video?
Yeah.
That was so cool. I think that's my favorite one.
A lot of people really like this one. I thought it was pretty good, but it's not my favorite.
I loved it. It was awesome. Guys, if you haven't checked out the new cardboard video, then definitely do so. If you don't know what cardboard actually is, shame on you. Go to YouTube right now, type in StarCrafts and cardboard, and yeah, have a few funny moments.
Yeah, if you haven't seen those yet, you're about to have the next probably 30 to 40 minutes of your life enjoyed, because I watch them.
The Code A.
Yes, after Code A, not now. Maybe in the 5-minute break that comes up after this best of 3.
Yeah. But looking at this, we have now an opening which is a little bit more old school. We don't see the Phoenix opening for Killer with his Stargate play. No, we have him with not only the Void Ray, but also the added Gateway, so that he can go into the Gateway and 4-gate aggression with a +1 attack upgrade. I personally like the build quite a lot.
This is something Killer is... This is a Killer type build to do, you know, an aggressive play, a timing attack rather than to go for Phoenixes and the late game necessarily. He does not start a second Void Ray, but it doesn't mean he's not going to do the attack. He doesn't have any probes though, and that's the one reason why I feel he's not going to commit to this, or at least he's not allowed to.
Speed is soon to kick in for Su. Creep spread at his third is for PVZ. Okay, just down the ramp. That's all that you need at the beginning. You want to make sure that you also see the pylons that your opponent is going to warp in. And we have now the lair tech. More and more Zerglings are being prepared. He's just trying to get ready here.
He starts a third.
Killer starts his third base, and to be quite frank, he's not ready for that just yet.
He can't keep it, that's for sure. He thinks he's ready, but the reality is he's not. His Void Ray did not see these units.
Oh my god, he did not cancel.
I knew when I saw he had not selected it that he was not going to be able to cancel that. He's going to lose a sentry here. Oh, he's going to lose more than that, potentially.
Oh my god, Killer. Ouch, he's going to lose that Forge for sure.
Yeah, he could lose these sentries if Su wants them.
This is bad. Not only did he lose the minerals on the Nexus, but now he's losing the Forge, his ability to upgrade further.
And Lings are getting in there. There's not any force fields left. He's going to wait for the next wave. He goes for the gateways because he knows Killer's production is already so limited at this point.
The Void Ray is trying to find his back base to the home.
He starts a Hydra Den. He's like, you know what? This is actually just going to be easy for me to end it. He could end it without the Hydra Den. He's no force fields left.
This is way too much that he's losing. He's losing the sentries, he's losing the stalkers, he's gonna start losing Goats if this continues like it. And with the Hydras, this is definitely a game that Killer should not be able to win this anymore. Su is just dominating this match.
Yeah, with the Void Ray, he will eventually clean up the Roaches, but the Lings, there's just so many of them, he can't kill them. The Void Ray not going to do extra damage to Lings. He's going to take out those probes, and this is just disastrous for Killer. Su will stop for a minute, get his Hydras, and go and finish the game.
It could not be worse.
Yeah. If Killer accidentally killed his own Nexus right now, it would be only slightly worse. And that would take a long time for him to do with how few units he has.
Yeah, exactly. 62 Harvesters against 39. 3 base economy against 2 bases. Hydralisks are now being built. And well, against Hydralisks, what do you want? Against Hydras, you want Colossi. Killer will... He will not have any
look
Colossi
at this Killer army at the 30.
There's no chance.
If all the drones of Su were recalled on top of Killer's army, he could actually kill the army with his drones. And the Phoenixes here are... Well, he knows there's Hydras coming. Another attack here baits out some force fields.
Resources lost are now 3,400 against 3,000. That alone doesn't really tell the story, but it gives you a little bit of an idea of what was lost here. Yeah. Given the economy that we have for both, this is of course nothing for Su, but really devastating for Killer. And Su just doesn't stop. Su also is actually not going for a too aggressive play. He is still following this up with a 4th base and the tech into Spire.
Yeah, really well done. And with this type of play from Su, where he keeps running the Lings in, he's forced so many force fields out of Killer, which is ideally what Killer needs to be able to hold this push. I don't think he'll be able to do it even if he has perfect force fields, but that's what he's hoping for right now, and he's already wasted a lot of his energy because he had to against the Lings.
The forces for Su are just piling up on the doorstep of Killer. Su wants to go in. He gets the upgrade, so does Killer with his double forge, but here comes the Zerg player, trying to move up that ramp, running in with the Zerglings, attempting to bait a few force fields. And this third is once again exposed, shot by shot, the hit points and shields are dropping.
Now this is going to get really hairy for Killer now. Losing the Nexus is the least of his worries now. He's going to have to deal with the Lings, which force fields are decent here, but they're not going to last forever. The Hydras are started stepping forward. They have the range. That Immortal is going to be pretty useful against the Roaches, but not if it can't ever fire because of the Lings.
He could just go into Mutalisks now.
And he will, if he wants to. I mean, he could do it whatever. I think he will probably start like 16 Mutas. He makes Lings instead.
Yeah, he could easily start, with 1,700 gas, he could easily start Mutalisk production now, and this would completely overwhelm Killer.
He could also start a bunch of Infestors, even before Pathogen Glance. By the time he walks across the map to kill his opponent, he'll have enough energy for Fungals. He could do whatever he wants.
The only thing that he's not allowed to do at this point is pull on his team.
Yeah, that's not allowed. That's against the rules, and if he does it, he will have to play Game 3.
Yeah. And if you don't know what we're referring to, watch yesterday's video.
Well, here come the Lings. Good force fields again by Killer, but they're just buying him time only. Even if he kills Su's entire army right now, the problem still stands that he doesn't have a 3rd Nexus.
Yeah. No 3rd Nexus, no 3 base economy, whereas Su is on 4 bases. Su is getting the upgrades in. +1 attack for the air units has also been started. He is banking gas like I don't know. And we have so many minerals now also piling up for him with his sick economy. He can go into any transition.
Killer moving onto the high ground here is going to defend this the best he possibly could. But he still has no 3rd Nexus, and that's not something Su is going to allow. Su is also facing Killer, who's going with double upgrades here. Right now, Killer is at 2-1. Su is only at 1-0.
The upgrades are an advantage that Killer has, that's for sure. 180 supply for Su against 100 for Killer. 10 Infestors being built now.
Yeah, it's just the bases, you know, in the production, all the gas. 15 infestors. After the 10 you mentioned, he starts 5 more, and he's going to line them up with pathogen glands. With those infestors, Killer will not be able to hold against the infested Terrans alone.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. He doesn't even have to go for fungals or any support. The infested Terrans alone will give Killer a very hard time.
Yeah, it's like he's facing the two things you want Colossi for, Hydras and Infestors, and he doesn't have Colossi. Infested Terran's gonna just rip him apart even without the upgrades.
Look at this creep thread on the minimap. It's actually just way too much for Killer to handle. This is just how meticulously Su was macroing it up, not only focusing on the attack at the front, but also spreading the creep forward, just giving his units the speed bonus, getting a 5th base of all things at the top left, going into Hive. He just doesn't stop. He doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't leave Killer any openings.
And forces the Guardian Shield here. He's going to come forward with those bungles. Hits the bungles here. Will hit a second wave.
He doesn't even go for Infested Terrans. He saves his energy up here. The fungals are already in, and the Roaches, Hydras, and Zerglings do the rest.
Yeah, this is getting totally trashed. Killer's army has to blink away, at least what's left of it.
by a 3rd base, a 3rd time.
Let's see if he cancels it this time.
Yeah, this time cancel.
But he is not going to have any other option but to type GG against this Infestor force.
Yeah, Su is going to move into the natural right now. Killer is holding on, trying to pull a miracle off, but he does not have what it takes. Here come the Infested Terrans. GG.
He may have been able to clean up the coffee that he spilled in his booth, but he certainly was not able to clean up Su's attacks at his 3rd base. Losing that Nexus without canceling it was the first step in the wrong direction for Killer, because then he couldn't use the gates that he had to warp units in. Then he lost his other gates, and he could not produce units, and he just kept dealing with force after force from Su.
So Su's run through Code A continues. With a 2-0, he defeats Killer, who is now in the up and down. Su himself will be in the 3rd round of Code A against Lucira, fighting for a spot in Code S, and there he will have a very, very strong opponent. This is definitely the match where he has to prove himself. He didn't drop a single map in Code A just yet. He did not drop a map in the preliminaries in the Code A qualifier, at least not in the last games that he played in his Code A qualifier bracket. This is going to be a very interesting game. It was an impressive run for Su so far, and we're going to find out in next week's matches if Lucira is able to stop him or if Su is going to Code S right away. Before we do that, we have another game. We have a Zerg versus Terran. We have Shine. This is not MVP Shine, but it's the Casper player. Shine against Fantasy. This is going to be a pretty good match, Zerg versus Terran, and we're going to see it after a 5-minute break here at the GSL Code A with Karl and Wolf.